First of all, I would like to thank all of you for coming out tonight and celebrating with us. And second, well, of course, my story. My name is Angela Maria Colón-Rentas. I was born in Puerto Rico and raised here in Rochester since the age of 5. I work at Compere Rochester, and I am a proud member of the SWAT Youth Council. I have lots of things that happened in my 24 years of age, but I can't speak of it all in less than 10 minutes, so I will keep it brief. I remember one day after school, me being 6 years old or so, looking out the window. My sisters played around the house and my mom made dinner. Still, I remember I remained fixed on the edge of the couch, looking out the window. My mom came to check on me occasionally and would repeat, "He's not coming." But I still remained loyal beside the window, hanging on to hope. My father had promised he would come to pick my sisters and I up for the weekend. So innocently, I still believed he would. Now it was time for bed, and he never came. That was my first encounter with deception and broken promises. Growing up, my mother was a single mother of 3 girls. My father was and still is a hardcore IV heroin user. My sisters and I grew up in poverty. We rarely had new clothes when school came along, and had to dress with hand-me-downs mainly. By the end of the month, we were already out of basic daily living necessities, like soap, toothpaste, shampoo, laundry, detergent, and even food. We didn't have much growing up, but we had each other, and no matter how much my mother struggled raising us alone, she always found a way to make ends meet. She even ended up selling heroin and doing nearly 3 years in prison. By the time she got released, I was almost 10, and little did I know that the next 2 years would be the best, yet the last 2 years of my childhood. My mother suffered from depression, and for various reasons, we struggled with school attendance. By the time my older sister and I were 12 and 13, we were already smoking marijuana. I looked up to her. We weren't twins, but I could literally feel what she felt without even being around her. When she turned 12 years old, things began going downhill for our family. She began making bad choices, and when she got caught by my mother, I began witnessing heavy arguments between them almost every day. Sometimes they even got physical. It became such a common thing that when they argued, I'd just go to my room till I heard things falling or someone banged against the wall. That's when I knew it was time for me to intervene and separate them. My sister went to placement twice, but AWOL both times. And by the time she was 14, she gave birth to my first nephew. My king, I call him. That's when I lost my sister. We still live in the same house, but she had gotten involved with a man who physically, mentally, and emotionally abused her. So no matter how much pain I knew she was in, I couldn't do anything to help her. She was completely hypnotized by him. That really impacted me because I missed my best friend. I also witnessed terrible, endless arguments between my mother and father over whose fault it was we were going astray. And they always spoke bad about each other. At the same time all this was going on, I had started middle school, but my attendance problem caused me to get put on probation. But my true story with the juvenile system began 2 months before I was meant to get discharged from probation. And it was all because of a lollipop. Yes, people, that actually happened. I won't get into the details today, but if you are curious about it, I am open to any questions whenever possible. So long story short, I got handcuffed over a lollipop, and in a spontaneous act of pain, I kicked a police officer. Because of that, I was sent to Westfall Juvenile Detention for 6 weeks, where I was later sentenced based on my older sister's actions. No, I'm not saying it's her fault because I take full responsibility of all my actions, but it's a fact that in the court hearings, the DA accused me of being a troublemaker and already had AWOL twice from 2 different juvenile detentions. Keep in mind that I have never been in any type of placement prior to this incident. When I tried telling my public defender, I was shut down by the judge, and the misunderstanding was never clarified. Then I was sentenced to 1 year at St. Joseph's Villa. My time in St. Joseph's Villa was better than I imagined though. All the staff on campus liked me, and I liked most of them too. I was the youngest, yet the most mature. Some even called me an old soul. I say to myself mainly because in a house of 12 females, you can imagine all the drama. I honestly say that year in St. Joseph's Villa changed me for the better. I did many things I had never done before at home, like bowling, ice skating, rock climbing, canoeing, and camping, amongst many other things. Most of all, I learned that year to be independent. When I went home on the weekends, it was more of the same before. Fights between my mom and sister wouldn't fade. It was extremely chaotic, and because of that, when I was given the choice of getting discharged early from St. Joseph's Villa, I actually chose to stay. Who does that? When I finally did get discharged, I got involved with SWAT Youth Council. SWAT gave me the opportunity to travel outside the state for the first time since I came to Rochester. On November 2008, I went to a conference of the National Federations of Families for Children's Mental Health in Atlanta, Georgia. And that week, amongst 100 or so poster entries, my poster ended up being the winner of that upcoming year. My poster was displayed all over the United States, Puerto Rico, and Guam during Mental Health Awareness Week 2009. And, I got $500 too. Unfortunately, a few months after that, I left SWAT. At the age of 16, I left my mother's house and ended up dating someone more than twice my age. I kept going to school, but just barely. I fell into a deep depression and didn't go to school for about 3 years. Still, I never entertained the thought of dropping out. Halfway through my second senior year, depression and all, I became determined to graduate that year no matter what, and began actively going back to school. In 5 months, I made up the 3 years I had missed. Summer 2012, I finally got my high school Regents diploma. That was the first time I felt proud of myself in a long time. Although everyone I knew would say that I have great potential because I am open-minded, mature for my age, I am very charismatic, capable of doing amazing things because I viewed the world differently, I felt ashamed of myself. Everyone had high expectations of me, and I was letting everyone down, especially myself. So I felt so embarrassed and hopeless that I ended up isolating myself for like 3 more years. During that time, I smoked more than a chimney. I drank so much that by the time I was 21, I wanted nothing to do with alcohol. Eventually, I got so tired of being depressed all the time and not doing anything good for myself that I built courage and decided it was time to live up to my potential. I became dedicated to helping myself because deep down I knew I wanted to help others. I gathered all my inner strength and started fighting off all these negative thoughts that would race through my mind on a daily basis. It was a real hard task to do. Depression is still something I struggle with till this day, but I managed to gain some control over it instead of it having complete control over me. I learned from all the deceptions in my life to take the good and leave the bad. Fast forward, back in December 2016, I was homeless and jobless, but made my first attempt to get involved with helping youth. I seen Compeer was hiring, so I applied. I had a phone interview and didn't get hired. I moved along instead and became a paraprofessional. I truly enjoyed being a paraprofessional, but something within me preferred to work with youth in crisis rather than an academic environment. So about 6 months after I had applied for Compeer, I contacted them again, and this time I did get hired. I was so freaking happy. I love working at Compeer, and I'm not just saying that because my coworkers are here. I really mean it. Compeer helped me get back into touch with SWAT. It gives me the opportunity to help youth, share my experience, and grow as an individual, all thus respecting and understanding I too have a mental illness. I believe everyone needs a good role model, mentor, and friend while growing up. I intend to be at least one of those to someone. I want to give others the help and support I did not have while I was growing up, and I am proud to say I am doing just that. A lot of things have happened in the last 10 years, and there is so much more to everything I have said, but I can now say my family is closer than ever. I try my best to help where I can and be a good role model to my little ones who look up to me. I truly am blessed and content with my current relationship and workplace. Now, 10 years after my only encounter with the judicial system, I look back at my life thus far and understand the meaning of the saying, everything happens for a reason. If it weren't for all the things I went through, from having a father addicted to heroin, to being separated from my family, and having to grow up at such a young age, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Being at St. Joseph's Villa introduced me to a whole new world I never experienced, a world of hope. It made me realize that although I grew up in chaos, surrounded by violence and all kinds of things, that didn't mean I had to let it define me. I have the power to be the difference and make the difference in my life, my family's life, and in my community. Now, 10 years after my first time assisting the God Dreams Awards as a SWAT youth member and hearing others tell their stories, I would have never imagined I would be standing here as a SWAT youth member again, sharing part of my story with all of you. For that, I thank God first of all, and also everyone who has helped me along my journey thus far. Thank you.
Great job.